Hello and welcome back to another episode of FPL Apprentice, still the only podcast and series that delves into the mind of one of the greatest players to ever play the game, former world number one Mr. Matthew Corbridge. But as much as I love Matt, I have not brought up to Lanzarote with me. Bad little view from the hotel room. I'll be seeing Matt in a couple of weeks as we are meeting up in Leeds ahead of the Football Content Award finals. Just to say it again, we are finalists for the Best in FPL Content Creator award. So yeah, fingers crossed for us. Don't think we'll win, but hey, it'll be good to meet up with Matt and good excuse for a few beers. But yeah, Matt isn't with me. This is kind of like a halfway house episode, really focusing on how I did in game week 10 following a wildcard, and then looking ahead at game week in 11 and 12. And I could do with your help because I don't know whether to bench boost in 11 or 12. I've planned the wildcard for 11, but when I look at the fixtures, 12 might work out better for me. So yeah, some help there. Leave thoughts in the comments. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But focusing on my team for game week 10, decided to hit the wild card. Basically, I thought the closer I get to game week 16, when we get 5 free transfers, it's kind of a wasted chip. So I planned for it to do it this week. Planned to do the bench boost sooner. Wildcard would help build my squad, as I say, for 11 or 12. The focus was really on getting 8 attackers in, some budget-friendly options that I wanted based on form, fixtures, and I'll downgrade one of them after the bench boost to free up some money. And then defence-wise, wanted to Arsenal. I think having one Arsenal isn't enough based on their current performance. So I wanted to get a second one of them in, and then it was all about DEFCON, and Matt and I have spoken for a couple of weeks now on the importance of those DEFCON budget defenders to enable some better options in the attack. So that was really kind of where I was at. Game week 10 result, 85 points. Still got 3 free transfers that I've now rolled over due to the wildcard, which means a game week rank of 746k. That's a good, decent green arrow from 285,000 up to 170,000. I did compare myself to my team, how I'd have done if I didn't wildcard, and I'd have ended up doing 2 transfers, which would have been Raya in for Sanchez and Richards in for Porro to be able to afford that move. That team would have got 81 points, so I'm 4 points better off. Still have 3 free transfers rather than going down to 2, which I'd have ended up on. Obviously, I'd have still my wild card the first time round, but yeah, I'm a positive 4 points based on how I'd have done. Running through the team, the defence all delivered, which was great to see. Raya clean sheet, Gabriel clean sheet assist, 3 bonus. Richards clean sheet. Anderson from Fulham also a clean sheet. So yeah, can't complain. I did have Nico Williams on wildcard rather than Anderson for a little while. Both decent fixtures in game week 11 if that's when I bench boost, but Anderson went out based on those DEFCON and managed to reward me straight away, so that was cool. Midfield, I kept Bruno over Mbumo. That's worked out, got an assist. But although it worked out this game week, if you look at the expected goal involvement data, Mbumo in that game we've got 0.55, Bruno only got 0.22. So Mbumo was more than twice as effective from a goal involvement point of view. Something to keep an eye on. Easy to downgrade Bruno to Mbumo if he becomes the obvious player. But given Bruno's still taking set pieces, I'd like to see him take a pen. I appreciate he's missed 2 this season, but I'd like to see if he's still the primary pen taker, and if he is, I'll probably stick with him. But yeah, these delivered this week. Minter bought him in, ended up playing him over Semenyo. If you follow me on Twitter, you'd have seen why. I just looked at Semenyo's data, and his expected goal involvement is dropping. I'll touch on that in a second. But Mbumo delivered 2 assists. I spoke about him in episode 102 about bringing him in ahead of these fixtures, and you're happy to have him for this sort of 6 game week run that he's got, including game week 10 that's just been, and he's delivered straight away 2 assists, 9 points. Happy with that. Disappointment from the midfield though. Sarr doing what he's always done. He only ever seems to get points when I don't own him. So I've had him for 3 weeks, and he's had 3 blanks in the 5 weeks this season he's played, and I've not owned him, he's delivered in 4 of them. But the fixtures are decent for Palace, so I'll keep him for a little while, and hopefully he starts to bring in some points for me. And then, yeah, as I say, I've also got Enzo. Was it Enzo or Semenyo? Sorry, I mentioned before. Was it Semenyo or was it Minter? But I think it was a rally between Enzo, based on him being away at Tottenham. And then Chelsea manager did come out and say he wasn't fully dependent on Enzo and João Pedro, based on potential injuries that they were still struggling with, so I didn't know how many minutes Enzo was going to get. But ended up playing Enzo based on his expected goal involvement of the last couple of game weeks. So Enzo in the last 3 game weeks averages expected goal involvement per game of 0.81. Semenyo was down to 0.32. Both got 2 points anyway. But I feel, I was unlucky there, because in that particular game week against Tottenham, Enzo had expected goal involvement of 0.65. Could have easily got a return. But just for comparison, Semenyo had expected goal involvement against City of 0.05. He seems to have dropped off a little bit. Not suggesting he's a sell, but it's just something to keep your eye on. So yeah, over the midfield that I played, I got Sarr for 3 points, Enzo for 2, Bruno for 5, and Minter, my nice differential, getting 9. Up front, like most, Haaland and Mateta, they're going absolutely nowhere. And I did have João Pedro. And between game weeks 6 and 9, when I had him, he got 0 returns. He averaged an expected goal involvement per 90 of 0.09, despite decent fixtures. And I thought, if I've got Enzo in, I don't need Pedro as well. It made sense to sell him based on his lack of form. And then he decided to play an absolute blinder, didn't he? Took in 9 points, had expected goal involvement of 1.99, which is suggesting he was unlucky to only get the 1 return there, and he's got Wolves at home next. So, he's absolutely caned it. Is it a mistake? In hindsight, it was a bad move. I bought in Walter Maid instead. It's got 4 in his last 6 games. We're seeing an expected goal involvement per 90 of 0.54. So basically expecting a goal every other game. Decent enough fixtures. Starting with West Ham. Subbed at half time. So 1 point for him. Couldn't write that. So 8 points down on taking him over Pedro. But the rationale was there. So it's a move I could quite easily reverse. So as I say, I've got 3 free transfers. Pedro's cheaper than Voltemaid, so I could easily move back. But yeah, when Voltemaid got subbed off at half time against West Ham, Eddie Howe obviously trying something different. Didn't work in the second half. West Ham ended up winning the second half 1-0. So I think Voltemaid will probably come back in. So I'll probably leave him. It seems sensible to roll the transfer, especially based on me just wildcarding, and then maybe do something a bit more funky in game week 12 and Liverpool's fixtures turn once the City game's out the way. So we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of touched on game week 11. I do plan to roll. I'll end up having in my defence starting Raya and Gabriel. Both got Sunderland. Richards, who's got Brighton, and Keane, who's got Fulham. Sarr in the midfield, at home to Brighton, Bruno away at Tottenham, Semenyo away at Villa, and Enzo at home to Wolves. And then Voltemaid away Brentford, Mateta at home to Brighton, and then Haaland at home to Liverpool. Who your captain? Liverpool look better the last couple of games, but I still feel like Haaland could get at them. Mateta at home to Brighton. Brighton don't keep many clean sheets, although they did. Obviously at the weekend just gone, but Mateta could also be an option. I think it'd be between the two. If you've got Pedro, based on him having 1 really good game, I probably still wouldn't go there, even though they're playing Wolves. For me it'd be Haaland or Mateta. If you were to force me hand now, I had to pick one. This might be because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'll probably pick Haaland. Liverpool's defence who could have had 2 clean sheets in a row, but they didn't keep 1 for 10 games prior, so I still feel like Haaland can do some damage. The headache, as I mentioned off the bat, is whether I bench boost in 11 or 12. So yeah, as I say, put some comments in to let me know which you think of these is better. So based on game week 11, my 4 bench players are all away from home. I'll have Dubravka at West Ham, Minter at Palace, Rodon at Forest, and Anderson away at Everton. Not bad fixtures, not a bad bench boost. Game week 12, however, I've got three at home and one away. What I'll end up having is Dubravka at home to Chelsea, Minter at home to Brentford, which I rarely like, Rodon at home to Villa, and Keane away at United. I think I'm kind of leaning towards game week 12. Minter being a big part of that, at home to Brentford, as opposed to away to Palace, just a much better fixture to get him on the pitch for through the bench boost. I'd also have 4 free transfers and could even, as I say, attack Liverpool players ahead of their curve. They're changing fixtures with them playing Forest in game week 12 at Anfield, and then really nice fixtures following that. Just think that bench is better. So I'm leaning towards 12, but if you think 11's better, let me know. If you think I'm right with 12, let me know as well. But yeah, that brings me to the end of this. We'll be back next week with Matt, slides and everything. That said, I might not be with Matt actually, because he is about to go to Dubai. Enjoy your trip to Dubai, Matt. But it is an international break, so we'll look to bring you something ahead of game week 12 kicking off. And we might even try and get something up together, as we'll both be in Leeds, as I say, for those awards. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But for the time being, whatever you decide to do ahead of game week 11, may the odds be in your favour. Hopefully your arrows are green, and I'll catch up with you and hopefully Matt ahead of game week 12. Till then, all the best.